Killsquad, developed and published by Novarama, is a breezy and entertaining ARPG, though it has a strong focus on character leveling and gear grinding, rather than a structured campaign or engaging narrative. The brisk mission lengths make it perfect for short gameplay sessions, and it's also a great co-op game for catching up with friends. However, the repetitive mission design and grindy elements become more apparent the longer you play. Killsquad is set in a future when mankind has spread among the stars, recklessly colonized and stripped planets bare, and then allowed ethically dubious corporations to flourish. On these abandoned worlds, most of them overrun by hostile alien species or malfunctioning robots, bounty hunter teams, called Killsquads, perform contracts to secure what little is left of value. The campaign, which consists of a series of branching contracts across 3 difficulty tiers, has mission briefings and mid-mission dialogue from your organization's leader, Mom, but there are few memorable narrative moments, despite the quirky setting and the goofy lines from your heroes. In addition to the thin narrative, you'll also often find you're not at the right vector score to immediately play a new contract, just because you completed the prior one. It's often wise, especially if you're going in solo, to replay older levels and grind for credit, gear drops, and crafting materials to boost your vector score. A combined gear tally that includes armor, weapons, and accessories before you attempt to progress. This makes the average session of Killsquad feel more like tackling a succession of daily events in an MMO, aiming to build up your character for a more significant raid. As such, it's definitely not for those who want an engaging or flowing narrative to push them forward. On the upside, the missions are brief, intense, and a lot of fun in short bursts. Killsquad plays as you'd expect from a modern ARPG. You move and dodge, engage hordes of spawning enemies, manage skills with a cooldown period, collect resource drops, and, if you're playing cooperatively, learn to synergize damage dealing and support abilities. Despite only being on PC at the moment, it's a game in which both mouse and keyboard and gamepad support is decent. Juggling and triggering skills feels a little easier on a gamepad, but I found more than a few shots flying wild when compared to using mouse aiming with ranged heroes. Your average session starts in a pre-mission phase that goes something like this. You select your hero, invest any skill points you have into a radial branching skill tree, skills that will only unlock mid-mission MMO-style. Then you check the stage details, take careful note of any hazards and enemy damage resistances, optimize your loadout, team up with friends or randoms if you want, and launch. Once you've loaded into a mission, you tear through a procedurally generated map, more or less in the direction of your objective, which typically involves killing something or someone, holding an area against waves of enemies, or escort duty. To spice things up, there are often environmental hazards to contend with. Think gas clouds, minefields, and the odd meteor storm to deal with. Of course, you'll also find plenty of chests with gear or credits, extractable crafting resources, there's DNA you collect from your enemies that are spent on single mission buffs, and, perhaps most importantly, the end mission loot chest. Now, admittedly, in the early hours, all it feels like you're doing is trying to maximize your damage output to drop enemies before they drop you. However, unlocking new heroes, or teaming up with other players, will slowly introduce you to support characters that can drop projectile shields or healing items for the team. When you couple the variable mission design with a diverse skill set, it can feel great to tear through a mission as a team, playing to your strengths and sticking to the objectives. In stark contrast to so many PvE games, I found that most random players were objective-focused and quick to lend a hand. Unfortunately, the one downside is that it uses a P2P connection for online co-op, so your experience is going to be entirely dependent on the host's connection. Of course, all the experience, credits, crafting resources, and gear drops you receive on each mission feed into the ever-present gear grind, and the need to boost that vector score. Mission completion loot boxes seemed a little too RNG for my liking, but the credits you earn can be used to pick up gear from a frequently refreshing store, and you'll want to keep an eye out for rarer pieces, with Diablo-esque prefixes and suffixes that can offer interesting buffs to your preferred skills. Additionally, you can always use crafting resources to upgrade each piece of gear, enhancing their buffs while grinding for a rarer tier item. Talismans, crafted by collecting 3 parts from missions or Colosseum wave battles, can also be equipped for passive buffs and upgraded using experience orbs you gain while killing foes. There's a lot to consider and optimize, but the brisk pace of missions means you're frequently back at your base, sifting through your inventory or the store. A big plus point is the lack of any paid-for loot boxes, despite the clear potential for monetizing the progression system. Unfortunately, the longer I played, the shallower the overall mission design felt. It's clear the entire experience is ultimately in service to the loot grind. You grind missions to increase in power, to unlock new missions, and then grind for even more power. Now there is a market for this gameplay loop to be sure. Anyone fond of daily MMO-like activity should take note, and it still makes for a great social game if you're short on the playtime you'd need for much longer experiences. Sure, there is a campaign, with a beginning and a finale, but those missions are, ultimately, just lightly contextualized grinds for even more power. Hopefully by this point, you'll know if Killsquad is the game for you, and, given the affordable price point on Steam, it's well worth checking out if you have any interest.